Okay, joining us next will be Alfred Genkins, CTO of Scandiweb. He's going to be talking about tools they have made to reduce the budget and timeline for projects.
All right. So the microphone isn't even working. That's super cool. So, how do I switch it? I switch it using this remote. Oh, beautiful. So, hello and welcome. As I mentioned, I'll tell you about this, and I'll start with a little. Introduction and a context. So, where am I coming from, and who are we? What's Scandiweb? Well, Scandiweb is a regular Magento agency, and we do a lot of stuff. Basically, we do regular stuff, and I don't really want to get into what we do. And we do it for a long period of time, and I would say we face the regular problems, basically problems that everybody else faces in the industry. And we do it for 13 years, and I would say that's a torture, and I really wanted to escape it. And how? Well, how can we do it? How can we escape that torture? Well, we need to get lucky, and we got lucky in 2019 when PWA became a trend, and we got an opportunity to build a PWA project, and that's how Scandi PWA came to be. Well, that started it all well, but it didn't fix anything. Basically, it was a mess, and all deadlines were on fire, but developers at least were happy. Cool, but it teaches us one thing. We found a group of developers within the company who, given the right opportunity, could move mountains, and that's what sparkled it all. So how do you organize such a group of proactive people within the organization? Well, you can try building innovation centers to make them work on some startups, or you can fire them, as this article suggests. Well, there is something in between. It's, I think, better to decrease dependency on them, but still, well, a good thing to do, and what we found is going open source, because it makes these developers better managers. And this is important for a long-term efficiency of that team, and also generates some leads to you as a business. Well, another very important topic we found is that if you put these developers hands-on something, they will come and beg you for optimization possibility. It's much easier than spend days and days explaining to these developers what exactly you want to solve. So, of course, they will hate you for that, but in the long run, it's a good solution to a senior outflow problem that you might be experiencing, because if you connect your developers' impact to a company growth and disconnected from billability, well, you get an opportunity for your senior to stay longer with you. And, well, sounds cool and all, but where should we actually begin? And we should begin by retrospective, and doing a little research for our organization. What we found is that, local setup takes a lot of time, and infrastructure deployment is a very complicated task to do, because, well, the resource is always not around. And then we built PWA, and turns out, well, building PWA is complicated. So now we need to fix that some way. Well, of course, we have to think about simple solutions. And this is why you should always consider elimination of something or of a process entirely. And then you should, of course, try to implement that specific process in a very limited environment. Not trying to do it to a whole organization. We tried it. We always failed. So select a team, implement it there, try how it works, try it for a long period of time, then extend. All right. Then let's begin with our optimization journey. So starting with a local setup, how can we make a local setup be quick? Well, first we need to think about what makes it slow. And the things that we found is, well, the diversity of hardware is a problem. The necessity to know all of these tools like Docker files and maintaining bash scripts, that's all complicated. But what's most important here is that we never shared the solutions of common problems within projects. Basically, the solutions were never automated. So how can we finally get a hang of it? Well, we need to encapsulate it. We need to get everything related to local setup, including tools configuration, including doing additional steps for your specific operational system. Everything should be in one place. And, well, we got together to create Magento App. Basically, it's a project which enables you to deploy Magento just like on your local, just like Create React App does. and you can create it. You can create a new project, or you can add it to existing. And the cool thing is, we tried it for a year, and we collected analytics of issues, and we fixed them weekly. So right now we have more than 100 issues fixed, and we have a lot of tools that are configured out of the box, like Xdebug, like database in PHP Storm. Basically everything you can think of. It even pre-installs some extensions if there is such possibility. And we basically built it to optimize developer performance, so our devs could start coding efficiently, quickly, and on scale, well, that does magical things. We were able to save 3,000 hours per month by investing just 400 hours in development. That's huge, and because, well, we have a lot of developers, and I've made this presentation when we had only 500, now we are around 6, so these numbers just grow. All right, so this local setup could be solved by this Create Magento App thingy. You should try it if you have an opportunity. But what about the environment setup? Well, the biggest problem is the dependency of those DevOps on those very costly resources that basically you need to deploy Magento efficiently. You need a very smart Magento guy who also has DevOps experience, because, well, who will configure SSO? Who will do all of that stuff? Who will configure and performance for Magento on those different services? This is super complicated, and you also need CI/CD configuration. Well, we just wanted to eliminate all of this process entirely, because otherwise it will still be a mess. But yes, so what we did, we created ReadyMage, and ReadyMage for us was a solution to eliminate the dependency of DevOps and to get the infrastructure deployed right from the day zero of project creation. So what it encapsulates actually is pretty much everything that you need to get to work and get to showcase your client at demo sites right away. So it does repositories, it does instance provisions, everything. And log collection is global and super cool, and you can browse it historically. So just nice, very useful. And we got the control over that process. So now with control, we were able to optimize it. So before, CI/CD was just the copy of bash scripts, and now it's something we can control, we can write a complicated program for, and we did. So now our deployment is very smart. It could deploy our application changes differently, so depending on what you changed, it will only compile that and include it in our deployment. And it uses Kubernetes, so we were able to optimize for scalability. And a lot of other interesting improvements were possible to make because we finally got off the whole control of some entity, some process. Well, that's ReadyMage, and that's the local setup and deployment issues solved. Now coming to that complicated part, PWA, well, the biggest problem is once we created it, it became obvious that maintaining it is hard, because every project needs to have some issues solved, and we can fix them in the core upgrades. But how did we do integrations quick? How can we eliminate that time spent on integrating extensions all over again? Because in Magento, it was super simple, and we should do it just like it was in Magento, because, well, that worked, and that worked for all of us. We decided to take a retrospective look, and we found that Magento had overrides, and Magento had extensions, well, using plugins or whatever. On a business level, again, we just wanted to optimize that time spent. So what we did is we created Mosaic. Mosaic is, well, as you know, a pattern of inlaying tiles. So we wanted something that would work the same way, basically plug-and-play modules forming the whole application. And we did it by creating Mosaic, another open source product that you guys can find on a GitHub. And it allows any JavaScript application, could it be Vue or React or whatever, to have an external way to extend application logic, and could have an external way to modify application appearance. Basically, what I mean is it allows to build extensions, which could be plug and play, and themes, which could be plug and play. So package integration and implementation is together, not like it's normally just implementation within the package. And community actually loved it, and we had amazing feedback around it, but it never actually blew off because, well, took off because it's very niche use case, but it helped us to generate leads, and we got interesting opportunities like tourism-oriented facilities and stuff like that. And also, we, of course, tried to iterate on our product. So we built it to solve PWA problems. So we integrated it into the PWA solution, thus making extension building simple. And that's how we solved the integration challenge. But now, given the integration possibility, how can you reuse that code efficiently? Because, well, packages are there, but they are not shared across projects. You need some way to share them. And Magento, again, did a smart thing to build a marketplace, and we should do the same. Building a marketplace helped us to share everything we built and organize a little competence center where developers could learn from each other. And we specifically committed to do everything for free there because, well, we hoped that this will bring others to do the same. And people around the world and community and partners would be able to learn from it. But the situation got a little bit complicated because, well, we shared all of those extensions from real projects. And if you take something from a real project, of course, that will be project-specific, and something will even be impossible to share due to some project-specific modifications. So, well, most packages didn't work out of the box. We needed to improve the quality of those packages, the distributed material. So how we approached it is by improving the quality of the process itself. And how well you can do it, again, retrospective, do something in isolation. So by isolating processes, you make it possible to, by isolation of a process, you get an opportunity to basically build a knowledge center, a center where around one knowledge base you assemble a team of people that work on something, ideally having barriers around them. And we build barriers using contracts. So that's like having another organization within your organization that which does only one thing and one thing only, and it does it efficiently. So we built two competence centers. One of them was for front-end, aka for theming, and one of them was for extensions. And this allowed us to solve a lot of problems we faced, and we started to accumulate best practices, and we got an opportunity to decrease development time drastically. Like, theming team is capable of delivering themes 4 times faster than a normal project due to all of the practices they learned. And extension team, well, it's even hard to count because sometimes it's like hundreds of hours saved immediately just because they found and they know the better solution. Well, it also had unexpected consequences. We made it possible to request extension development from marketplace team. And this allows basically everyone in the community to just go ahead and place the request for extension development. And because now we have this Competence Center, we can just give the task of that creation to them. And because in the Competence Center we normally have people who are learning, it's very simple for us to handle this extension development on our own. So we take development costs and you guys get extensions. And that's why I'm talking about that, because you can get a hang of that experience center thingy too. And we're planning to do the same for themes. And if you are in a hurry, because of course everything you will ask us to do will be put in a queue, you can just talk to us and we'll give you some resources from those competence centers and they could help you deliver the project. So based on that talk, I want to highlight some tools that we developed, and those goes like innovation centers, which started it all, a group of active people. Create Magento App, a tool that allows you to deploy Magento on your local in a single command, and it supports failsafe. ReadyMage as a service which allows you to deploy anything in seconds. Basically, now your project manager is doing that, not your DevOps. You can eliminate the whole team of them and basically rely on just a single service. And then goes Scandiweb, a program or a framework which enables extensibility in, ScandiPWA is basically a front end for Magento, but Mosaic enables extensibility in ScandiPWA. And there is a marketplace where you can find a really high quality extensions because, well, we have reset the marketplace, and now you can buy their extensions, which we will provide as support, and they will definitely work. And finally, there is a PWA knowledge centers that we built and that you can access through a marketplace by requesting or placing a request. So we spent 30,000 hours there, and we optimized a lot. And it really, really allowed us to cut budgets drastically. So we solved a lot of problems that we have initially discovered, and we actually solved all of the common problems too. So we are looking for something else to solve while moving forward. And I hope you found those tools useful and you could utilize them in your workflows. Yeah, because there is a pretty open source. But there is always a catch, because you could try building and following the same practices as we did. However, it's a little bit complex because, well, you need to be large scale. Dedicating so much hours into open source tools is hard. However, when we started, we were pretty small, so I would be very happy if someone would come to me and share the tools that they built specifically to make developer lives easier. I hope I did it today for you, and you found that talk useful. So, do you have any questions? Alrighty. Thank you so much.